For part 2 of today's activity, we're really focusing on how to use these tools really specifically in a more creative way. When you use a rotate tool, it can be easy to just rotate manually by hand, but it's really hard to get specific angles. So I'm going to show you a trick that allows you to input specific angles. So you see the flower here on the left? You'll see that every petal is evenly and precisely rotated from each other. That can be really hard to eyeball and really frustrating. But with the rotate tool and a modifier key, we can make it happen really fast. So for this activity, you're going to select the shape you're going to rotate, which is the petal in this instance. You're going to activate your rotate tool and you're going to set your transformation point. I'm going to zoom in a little here to the center. All I'm doing is clicking, and it's really hard to see, but there is like this blue transformation point that went from the center of the petal to this point. Basically, what I'm telling the computer is I want to rotate around this dot. Now, in order to pull up this dialog box, it's called the rotate dialog box, I have to hold down Alt on my computer, click once, and then click one more time. When I do that, this box should pop up, and this will let me set the exact angle I want. In this case, I want to be 45 degrees, but I'm not going to hit OK because I don't want it to move 45 degrees. If I hit preview, that's where it's going to move. I actually want a copy of it 45 degrees. So in this instance, I'm going to hit copy. Now I have two things. I don't want to have to click those buttons and do that all the time. If I go to Object, Transform, Transform again, what the computer is doing the last transformation and copying it exactly. In this case, turning something 45 degrees. I want that. So in your computers, it's going to be Control D. On a Mac, it's Command D. But if I hit it, it'll just repeat the last step I did exactly. So 45-degree copy again and again until I have all 8 petals. That's how quick it can be to make something look really precise and even. You're going to end up doing that for the flowers and then building a clock. You're going to see that instead of flower petals, the same idea, selecting the ticker of this clock, activating your rotate tool, setting it into around about middle of your clock. Eyeball it, try to get as close to the center. Same idea, hold Alt, click twice. And in this case, you're setting this to 30 degrees and hitting copy. And you're going to repeat this for all 12. So Control D until you have all 12. If you find that some of your clickers or tickers have kind of moved, you can resize your clock to be a little bit larger so it fits a little nicer like this. And you're going to center this shape with this shape using your align settings. You're going to have to group this before you can do the last part, which is creating a shadow. Now for this step, you're going to make a shadow basically by creating an ellipse roughly the same size as the clock. I want this to go behind the clock, so I'm going to arrange it to the back. And this time I want to use shear. Shear does not have a quick key. I'm going to set my transformation point right here to the bottom, and then I'm going to drag from the top to pull this so it looks like a shadow. I'll put it right behind my clock. It's a little too dark, so the last thing I'm going to do is with my shape selected, I'll see fill stroke, but I also see this thing that says opacity. Opacity is just how much you're seeing something. I want to put it to about 60. It just makes it a little more see-through and a little bit more like a shadow. If you happen to finish that earlier, you're going to practice with some more flower petals by rotating it with the same technique used before by holding Alt. When you are done, you can try to draw some stems and leaves using the pencil tool to create a little bouquet.